Back in the summer of 1985, one of the best 80s films was released upon the silver screen, Back to the Future. The film was written and directed by Robert Zemeckis, also written by Bob Gale, and was produced by one of Hollywood's biggest directors at the time, Steven Spielberg. Back to the Future dominated at the box office for 11 consecutive weeks as the #1 film and earned a worldwide total of $381.11 million. Back to the Future is also considered one of the best movies of all time, and a lot of fans consider it their favorite film. But not a lot of people know how the film was actually made. First, no studio wanted to make the film because of the director's previous failure. The director had to make another film before the Back to the Future to earn back some of his credibility, and most of Back to the Future had to be reshot due to an urgent recasting. I think it's time for the people to finally know how one of their favorite films was created. Now I know what you're thinking. Who wouldn't want to make a rad sci-fi adventure film about time travel and all that sort of stuff? Well, the answer to that might actually surprise you. Back in the year 1980, Robert Zemeckis had wrote and directed a film along with Bob Gale called Used Cars. The film followed a hotshot salesman, played by Kurt Russell, who tries to save a struggling car lot from falling in the hands of the owner's brother and rival. Although the film now has a 77% on Rotten Tomatoes and a 68% on Metacritic, it tanked pretty badly back then. Most of the film critics gave it very harsh reviews. Soon after the release of Used Cars, Robert Zemeckis had finally finished the first draft of Back to the Future, but sadly no studio wanted it because of the failure of Used Cars. Also, the studios didn't like the idea of a mother unknowingly trying to get into her future son's pants. Robert Zemeckis then realized that he needed to make a movie that he didn't write, so then he decided to make Romancing the Stone. The film was instead written by Diane Thomas and Leb Bobbs. The film was about a romantic adventure writer whose sister is kidnapped and taken into the Colombian jungle, and along with a brash mercenary played by Michael Douglas, search for a priceless gem in order for her sister's safety. The film was released in the spring of 1984 to positive reviews by critics and earned $115.1 million at the box office. The film did get Robert Zemeckis his credibility back in order to make Back to the Future with the studios. Robert Zemeckis had finally begun to shoot Back to the Future when a bit of a big problem had occurred. Now, I know it's hard to imagine anybody or any other actor in the role of Marty McFly, but not a lot of people know that if they hadn't fired the original actor, we would have gotten an entirely different movie. According to Vulture.com, the original actor for Marty McFly was taken by an actor by the name of Eric Stoltz. Michael J. Fox was the original choice to play Marty McFly, but due to scheduling conflicts, he was unavailable for the role due to his then current show, Family Ties. Eric Stoltz filmed on the Back to the Future set for about 5 weeks until Robert Zemeckis and some of the other filmmakers felt that he wasn't really giving the best performance for the role. So, Zemeckis asked Universal Studios to then fire Stoltz and get Michael J. Fox for the role of Marty, and reshoot all the scenes that they needed. Though the filmmakers did get their way in the end, they didn't know how hard of a process it would be shooting with Fox at the time. Since Michael J. Fox was shooting and starring on the show Family Ties, the NBC showrunners allowed Fox only to film Back to the Future on the condition that Family Ties remain his first priority. That means that Fox wouldn't be able to take any time off of work due to Back to the Future. Not even a day off if they needed to get him for a day. So they eventually worked out a schedule with Fox so that he'd be able to shoot Family Ties and Back to the Future. Fox's new schedule consisted of working Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. through 6 p.m., and then Michael J. Fox would then need to be taken to Back to the Future set after his shooting on Family Ties in a station wagon, and then shooting as late as 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. in the morning. The film crew would then have to carry Michael J. Fox into his house and throw him on his bed for him to shoot the whole thing and carry out the whole schedule the next day. It does sound pretty miserable realizing that Michael J. Fox only got 3 to 4 hours of sleep a day, maybe, but we do have Back to the Future now to thank for it. Fox also shooted sometimes on the weekends for daytime exterior shots when they weren't able to shoot during the week. These incidents all could happen so that we could have one of the best movies of all time. First, another movie had to be made because of a previous one. The original actor for one of the most famous characters of all time had to be recasted, and then the actor would then have to put in some of the hard work they would need to get the movie to happen. The film is probably considered one of the top movies of all times, and it does deserve it. So the next time you watch Back to the Future, you might appreciate the film a little bit more with these facts that you didn't know. Thank you very much.